Hi, welcome to my home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My name is Gary Schnell. I have been a practicing psychiatrist, specializing in child and adolescent psychiatry in this area for nearly 32 years. I have a wonderful wife, Colleen, to whom I have been married for 43 years, and we have 3 magnificent children, Brian, Daryl, and Jackie. Now, when my middle son, Daryl, committed suicide nearly 11 years ago, it motivated me to write this book, Consciousness, All in One and One in All. Now, I'm going to be doing some YouTube videos to highlight different areas of this book over time. This one is entitled The Creativity of Grief and the Creative Narrative. Now, this is not a book of how to work through grief. It's not a book about grief, but it was one of the ways that I used to begin to work through the loss of my son. We all handle grief differently. I tried to pull my knowledge, my years of practice, the books that I'd read, including psychological books, neurological books, developmental books, books on cosmology, quantum physics, spirituality, things that I was really, really interested in. Tried to pull together all of that knowledge and write this book. Now, personal events like the loss of a son, our interests, books that we've read, books that we've written, they are but a small sample of what I will refer to as the personal narrative. Now, the personal narrative is a most interesting phenomenon. The sources of the narrative are legion. They include neural development, psychological development, the separations, losses, and attachments of childhood, our parents' narrative, their parents' narrative, and the many generations of parents that preceded them. It includes all nature of conscious events. The most significant source of information for our personal narrative, however, is implicit unconscious. We are gathering information constantly. We have a wealth of information that we have gathered as children. Much of this information was gathered before we had the development of our frontal cortices to help us put things into a logical, linear cause and effect nature. Now, the personal narrative is the source of all nature of beliefs, religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, interests, hobbies, our political leanings, even the sports teams we root for. It influences our perceptions and our decisions in life. It shapes our relationships. It is the source of all creative endeavors. This book, all books, poetry, art, and all manner of scientific pursuits. Now, for reasons that I'll get into in the next video, we are the hero of our narrative. It has to do with our relationship with our parents, who are essentially godlike figures. But more of that later. Essentially, as heroes, all others are less knowledgeable. They are less empathetic. They are less informed. You name it. To quote Queen and Freddie Mercury, we are the champions. Now, the personal narrative serves as the bridge between all that is implicit and unconscious and our conscious awareness, our waking consciousness. It is essentially our ego. But there are 2 really, really important things to remember about the personal narrative. The first is, because it is rooted in our efforts to make sense of our early childhood, before we had any ability to put memories together in a linear fashion. Because of that, it is largely fictional. We are really good fiction writers. We don't even know it. The other thing to keep in mind is that it is what separates us one from another. We can't all be heroes. There have to be some supportive characters. I personally believe that we're all supportive characters. I have a favorite phrase, favorite saying. It comes from the early 70s. There's a group of people, Firesign Theater, and this was a skit of theirs. It was, "We are all bozos on this bus." As a result of everything I've talked about to this point, the sources of the personal narrative, what the personal narrative influences, the fact that it is mostly fictional, and that we are heroes, all of us, and that really serves to separate us one from another, all of that requires, I believe, us to scrutinize our personal narrative. Be curious about it. Be curious about why we believe what we believe, because it does serve to separate us one from another. We will be exploring the personal narrative as fictional and divisive, and but one element of our total personal consciousness in subsequent videos. I hope to see you then. In the meantime, be well, and thank you for your interest.